All right, let's dive in. Today we're exploring this fascinating idea of the human body as a machine.
A high-performance one at that. The source material really leans into that comparison, especially with a high-end car.
Yeah, and just thinking about all the complex systems working together, I'm already hooked.
It is amazing. And the source really dives into the details, emphasizing how incredibly efficient and complex our bodies are.
Well, speaking of complexity, the source kicks off by describing the human body as this perfectly crafted masterpiece. It's like every part, no matter how small, is vital and connected to everything else. What stood out to you in that section?
It's the way they describe that interconnectedness. It's mind-blowing. It's not just organs working together, but this whole intricate interplay between cells, tissues, complete systems, you name it. And it really makes you wonder, could this level of design just, poof, happen by chance? The source seems to be hinting at intelligent design.
It definitely makes you think. And that kind of leads us to the heart, right? Constantly pumping, delivering oxygen and nutrients throughout the body, like a powerful engine that never stops.
Exactly. It's like an engine with pistons and cylinders, as the source material puts it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so the heart's 4 chambers contract and relax, creating pressure that pushes blood through the veins and arteries. Kind of like those pistons pumping in an engine.
I see. That's a much clearer picture than just saying, oh, it's like an engine. And get this, the source mentions it beats around 100,000 times a day. Wow. So what can we do to kind of keep this incredible engine in tip-top shape?
Well, the source really stresses living a healthy lifestyle. Regular exercise, eating a balanced diet, managing those stress levels, all pretty important for heart health. Think of it like maintaining a car engine, right? You wouldn't put the wrong fuel in or skip oil changes. Your body's the same.
Makes sense. Okay, let's move on to the brain. The source describes it as this super sophisticated computer that's constantly taking in data and sending commands. Basically, it's our control center.
And a ridiculously powerful one, the number of neural connections in the human brain. Almost impossible to grasp. The source compares it to, get this, the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Talk about cosmic scale.
Wow. But it's not just about the number, is it? It's how these connections actually work. What does that mean for us day to day?
Think about everything you do, learning new things, remembering stuff, feeling emotions, even controlling your movements. It all boils down to those neural connections. And the source breaks it down further, explaining that there are different types of neurons for different tasks. For example, there are sensory neurons that transmit information from our senses, and then there are motor neurons that tell our muscles what to do. Really cool stuff.
Yeah. And it makes the whole idea of the brain's plasticity even more fascinating. It's not just some static computer. It's constantly adapting and changing based on our experiences.
Absolutely. Every time you learn something new, form a memory, or practice a skill, you're essentially rewiring your brain, strengthening those neural connections. It's like updating your computer software to keep it running smoothly.
So we're all programmers of our own brains in a way. That's pretty cool. All right, let's shift gears to the digestive system. It's often described as this processing plant, breaking down food into energy we can use. I'm curious, what kind of analogy does the source use?
They compare it to a super efficient refinery, turning those raw materials into usable fuel. Just like a refinery breaks down crude oil into gasoline, kerosene, different products, our digestive system takes those complex food molecules and turns them into simpler nutrients that our cells can actually use.
And the source mentions this fact that I found really intriguing. It's a 10-meter-long tube with its own intelligence.
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting.
What does that even mean?
Well, we're not talking about conscious control here. The source is talking about the enteric nervous system. Sometimes people call it the second brain.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so it's this network of neurons in the walls of the digestive tract that can regulate things like peristalsis, that's the muscle contractions that move food along, and enzyme secretion, all without direct input from our central nervous system. It's amazing.
The second brain controlling our digestion. That's mind-blowing. It really shows how complex our bodies are.
Exactly. And it's not just these individual systems doing their own thing. The source highlights how interconnected everything is, Like one thing can trigger a whole chain reaction.
Like a domino effect, right?
That's exactly.
And that makes me think about how the food choices we make, it's not just about digestion. It affects our energy levels, our mood, even our immune system.
You got it. The source talks about how those lifestyle choices have this ripple effect on our health. And get this, they even talk about how chronic stress, being stressed out all the time, can weaken our immune system.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's like you're constantly running your car engine at like super high RPMs. Eventually something's going to break down, right?
That's a great analogy. So managing stress isn't just about feeling better mentally, it's crucial for our physical health too. Are there any other lifestyle factors the source mentions as being important for a healthy immune system?
Oh, definitely. Getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, regular exercise. They even talk about how spending time in nature can boost our immune function.
It's interesting how the source connects all this back to the idea of the body as this whole system, not just separate parts. It's all connected, even down to our environment.
That's a really important point. The source suggests that we're not just these isolated beings, We're part of this larger ecosystem. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, it all plays a role.
So taking care of the environment is like taking care of ourselves and vice versa.
Exactly. Now let's circle back to this whole intelligent design idea. Seems to be a recurring theme in the source material. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm still kind of wrestling with it, to be honest. I mean, on one hand, you can't deny the sheer brilliance and complexity of our biological systems. It makes you wonder if it could have all happened purely by chance. But then on the other hand, I also appreciate the scientific explanations for how life evolved over millions of years. It's tricky.
It's definitely a topic that sparks a lot of debate, and the source doesn't shy away from that. It presents arguments on both sides, acknowledging the incredible wonders of evolution while also highlighting those intricacies that suggest a deliberate design.
What struck me is how the source uses the immune system as an example. They talk about how our bodies can remember past invaders, like viruses and bacteria, and then mount a faster, more effective response if we encounter them again.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's like having this internal security system that learns from experience, right?
Right. And the source also mentions how the immune system isn't just about fighting off infections. It plays a role in everything from wound healing to regulating inflammation.
It's another example of that interconnectedness we keep coming back to. The immune system isn't working in isolation. It's constantly interacting with other systems to keep everything in balance,
Now, curious to hear more about the role our senses play in all this. The source mentions that our senses are how we experience and interact with the world around us. It seems like such a basic concept, but is there more to it than meets the eye, pun intended?
There's always more than meets the eye, especially when it comes to the human body. The source goes beyond simply listing our 5 senses and actually digs into the mechanisms behind each one. Like, for example, they talk about how the eye works like a camera, capturing light and converting it into those electrical signals that our brain then interprets as images.
And the ear is just as fascinating. The source describes how sound waves cause vibrations in the eardrum, which are then transmitted through these tiny bones in the middle ear to the cochlea, which is in the inner ear. And the cochlea, it's filled with fluid and lined with these tiny hair cells that convert those vibrations into electrical signals that travel to the brain, where they're interpreted as sound. Incredible.
It's wild to think about how these complex processes happen so fast without us even having to think about it. And the source points out that our senses are not just about receiving information. They actually play a big role in shaping our perceptions, emotions, even our memories.
Oh, totally. Like, think about how a certain smell can trigger a vivid memory, or how a particular song can bring back a strong emotion.
Exactly. Our senses are more than just passive receptors. They're actively involved in shaping our experience of the world. And the source highlights how important it is to appreciate our senses and take care of them, especially as we get older.
That's a good point. It's easy to take our senses for granted, but they really are precious.
Absolutely. They're like the gateways to our world, and without them, our experience of life would be totally different.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I wanted to touch on something that really resonated with me. From the source, this idea of the human body as a source of wonder and inspiration.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sentiment. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget to appreciate the miracle of our own existence, right?
Totally. But when you take a step back and really think about the incredible beauty and complexity of the human body, it's hard not to feel a sense of awe and gratitude.
It's like rediscovering a hidden treasure, realizing what a gift life is and all these incredible processes that keep us going.
And it can inspire us to live more mindfully, to make choices that really honor and support this amazing machine we call home.
Absolutely. The human body is a testament to the power of life, a source of endless wonder and inspiration.
I think that's a perfect place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive, and we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the human body. It's been quite a journey exploring all these amazing systems.
Yeah, it really has. From the heart, always working to the brain's incredible network of neurons. Really fascinating stuff.
You know, what stuck with me is this idea that the human body isn't just a machine, it's more like a symphony.
Oh, I like that.
All these different parts working together in perfect harmony, each one playing a vital role.
That's exactly what the source emphasizes, isn't it? It's not just about individual organs doing their own thing, it's the incredible connection between them.
Exactly. And it really makes you realize how important it is to, take care of our whole selves, not just focus on one part.
Absolutely. It's not just treating symptoms. It's about understanding that our physical, mental, and emotional well-being are all connected.
So as we wrap up, what are some key takeaways for you? What really stood out?
I think, for me, it's the power of lifestyle choices. The source really drives home that what we eat, how much we sleep, how we handle stress, it all has a huge impact on our health.
It's like we're the conductors of our own internal orchestra, right? The choices we make can create harmony or, throw everything off.
That's a perfect analogy, and it's empowering to know that we have so much control over our own well-being.
Another takeaway that resonated with me is this idea of intelligent design. Whether or not you agree with it, the sheer complexity of the human body is undeniable.
It's true. The source really digs into that topic, exploring those intricate mechanisms that make you wonder if it's all just random chance.
It definitely makes you think about the origins of life, our place in the universe, all those big questions.
It does, and it also instills this sense of awe and wonder, reminding us to appreciate just how amazing our own existence is.
Speaking of amazing, we can't forget about our senses. They're not just passive receptors, they actively shape our experience of the world.
The source does a great job explaining how our senses work, like the eye being like a camera and the ear converting sound waves into electrical signals.
It's incredible how all that happens in an instant, allowing us to see, hear, touch, taste, smell everything around us.
And those senses are constantly sending information to our brain, shaping how we perceive things, our emotions, even our memories. It's all connected.
It really highlights that connection between our physical body and our inner world, doesn't it?
It does. So before we finish up this deep dive, I'd like to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay, I'm all ears.
If the human body is this incredible marvel of engineering, this symphony of interconnected systems, what responsibility do we have to take care of it?
That's a powerful question. It goes beyond just our physical health. It touches on our values, our place in the world.
It really does. How can we honor this amazing gift we've been given? How can we make choices that support our own well-being and that of the planet?
Those are definitely questions worth thinking about as we continue to learn more about the human body.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive. We hope you've learned something new and maybe even gained a new appreciation for the incredible machine that is your body.